Hey everyone, it's Christina Holloway here, and today we're going to talk about how to manage up, which means how to manage people who are above you in the company, particularly how to manage your boss. So you may have a disconnect or a misunderstanding with your supervisor about what your roles and responsibilities are versus what that person assumes your roles and responsibilities are based on what their expectations are. And when you have a disconnect like that, it's important for you to make sure that you reconnect with your supervisor, your boss, and make sure they understand exactly where you're coming from, but most importantly, that you understand where they're coming from. So if you have a disconnect with your boss, then what you really want to do is come back from a new perspective and ask yourself, what exactly do they want from me? Now, this also has to do with managing expectations, managing communication, and making sure that there's a clear understanding between what you expect when you show up to work every day and what your boss expects from you when you show up to work every day. So I have a simple framework here and a few active questions that you'll want to ask yourself so you get a better understanding of the kind of person you're working for and how you can start collecting successes in that person's point of view so that your professional development plan starts to reflect you growing, evolving, and eventually moving on to bigger and better things. You absolutely need a boss who supports you, understands you, and is in agreement of the type of work you're doing and where you want to go next. For example, if you want a promotion in the next 6 months, 6 months go by and you go to your boss and you find out that you're not being promoted, you could have a real moment of truth. But your boss could say, well, I had no idea you planned on a promotion within 6 months. And also, we weren't putting you on any projects that could get you visibility. And then also, I don't think that you're ready for it. Well, that's going to be a harsh conversation. So here, this is about managing expectations, understanding who your boss is, and making sure you communicate effectively with that person so you strengthen that connection. This works well if you have a new boss and you want to start strong, and it works well if you have an existing boss and you've had some friction or conflict and you're trying to repair the situation. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is understand who your manager is. This is about having a strong personal and professional relationship with this person. What do I mean? Well, you want to understand what your boss's goals and objectives are, as well as your own goals and objectives. And you want to make sure that you're helping that person achieve those things. Why is this important? If you're not actively working with your boss and you tend to work against your boss, it's only going to make the situation worse for that person. Now, they actually have authority over you. So if they don't like the way you're performing or they don't feel that you're working in alignment with them, they have the authority to either have you moved off the team or moved out of the business or the company altogether. And we don't want that. So first of all, it's important for you to understand who your boss is, how your boss operates. Now, what this first effort does is it helps you build trust and confidence, deepen the relationship with your boss on a professional level. And what does that mean? Well, you want to understand exactly what they're trying to achieve as well. They have their own career aspirations and they have their own goals and objectives. You want to know how you can fill a gap and help them achieve those goals and objectives, because the more your boss is successful, the more his or her team is successful as well. And that includes you. This is about building trust and confidence with this person. So, for example, if you have been working against your boss for a while, or you have a difference of opinion when it comes to the direction of the team or the projects or the objectives, take a moment to step back and ask yourself why, and where your point of view is in misalignment with your boss's point of view and where you might be able to find common ground. It's really important if you intend to continue working with this person, and it's a very vital relationship that you need in order to be successful. It is very important for you to be able to step back and understand we may have different points of view, but we both want the same thing. I actually have clients that I work with who are very established, really high at the top of the chain of command, who've told me, in the past, I've had employees who disagreed with me, but I respected their point of view and enjoyed that ability to debate because we knew we were both working for the benefit of the business and for our own careers. This helped us move forward in a new way. There are bosses out there who appreciate that. Now, the nuance of it is not about just disagreeing every time they open their mouths. The nuance of it is to ask them if they would appreciate a different perspective, especially if you're trying to repair a relationship. This is the space. Rebuild confidence, rebuild trust. Now, the second area dovetails into the first, which is taking responsibility for the buildup or the breakdown of the professional relationship. So what does this mean? Again, if you have a difference of opinion or a difference of a perspective and you both believe that you're going in different directions strategically and there's no way to get together, it is in your best interest to find common ground. It is in your best interest to repair this relationship only if this person is critically important to your success in your career and to the success of the projects or the initiatives that you've presented and that you're working on. Now, you might be watching this video and saying, look, this relationship has completely devolved. We're no longer in a space where we can repair anything, in which case you're going to have to ask yourself, if it's beyond repair, do I really want to still be there? Find a way to move out. If you're in a space where you've had a few clashes, a few disagreements, but you still both have this confidence and this trust between you, then you're now in a position to take responsibility for how to repair and grow that relationship. That means being able to ask for a phone call or a meeting and being able to say, look, this was my point of view and my perspective. I really want to find common ground. Otherwise, we're never going to be able to work together effectively. And this is about building a bridge. This is absolutely not about burning a bridge. So this absolutely is about creating really strong, healthy relationships that could be with a person that you disagree with fundamentally. But overall, the bigger objective is, how am I going to grow my career? And if this person is critically important to that, how am I going to first establish trust with this person? And then second, start building a very strong, healthy professional relationship with that person. Now, the third point, make sure that you understand exactly what your boss truly values. What do I mean by that? Now, there could be a number of reasons why your boss shows up to work on any given day. In this regard, we want to understand what motivates them to show up and what motivates them to keep moving forward. What do they value most? What motivates them? What are their preferences? So your motivations, your values, and your preferences. These are the things that really drive a person forward, and they absolutely indicate how you're going to show up to work and what kind of environment you work best in. You have a boss who may prefer to work in a very strict, structured way. They like organization. They love the traditional work environment. You've probably experienced this recently. You might have a boss who's like, everybody back into work, and you don't understand that. Now, for them, the only way that they can operate or move forward is if they can get back to what they liked before. And that might have been a traditional environment where everybody was in the office. You have to figure out if that person values that, and that's not my thing. Understand and try to ask if there's a way to find a medium or a middle ground. Now, you also could end up with a boss who is the exact polar opposite. They're very much onto brainstorming. They really enjoy the creative process. I mentioned in a previous video how I had a boss who loved fire drills. There's that video right here. So you need to understand what are their values, what are their motivations, and what are their preferences. Once you understand how you're supposed to work with this person, you can lean into how you accentuate or complement their method. If this isn't really your gig, then at this point you're going to know whether you're going to work effectively with this boss or not. The first point was about establishing trust and confidence. The second point was about diving deeper and making sure you have a solid foundational relationship with this boss and you understand exactly who you are and how you're showing up to work. The third, though, is about their preferences, motivations, and values. Now, if your values and your motivations and your preferences are polar opposite, you still can find common ground. Like I said, there are bosses who enjoy the debate. However, if it's fundamentally flawed, you're going to know by this third point, I can't stay. If you realize that you complement each other and that you work well together as a team because you fill in each other's gaps and that you're okay with their motivations, values, and preferences because they dovetail nicely with your own, you now have the foundation to create a healthy, stronger professional relationship with your boss going forward. And if any one of these three areas tends to be broken, you now can go back and see where you can make repairs. Here's how we're going to do that. We're going to ask some fundamental questions about the kind of person you're working with and see where you might be able to answer those questions and fill in the blanks. These are the types of questions that you'd ask yourself so you can better understand the person that you work for. I call this managing up. I also call it managing from below, or managing the manager, or managing your boss. It's about you leading the relationship with your supervisor. This is a leadership technique. You do need to know how to lead from above and how to lead from below. That means that you're leading from above means that you're managing the people below you and their expectations, and then managing from above means that you're showing up exactly the way you need to in order to foster a very strong relationship with your boss. And these are the type of questions you want to ask. How does your boss define success in his or her role? And what are the specific initiatives and objectives by which they measure that success? How does your boss define success in his or her career? And what are your boss's professional aspirations and goals? How does your boss define personal success? If possible, are you able to define what your boss's personal aspirations and goals are? How would you define your boss's leadership and communication style? How would you define your boss's tolerance for risk and change? How does your boss make decisions? From an emotional point, from a technical point, from a research perspective? What drives and motivates your boss to succeed? What are 2 or 3 behaviors or attitudes that are sure to frustrate your boss? Okay, so those are some questions to ask to get a better understanding of the kind of person you're working for. And then these questions are related to how your boss could see you, or how your boss perceives you. What does your boss expect you to achieve in your role? How does your boss expect you to communicate progress? What does your boss expect in terms of your professionalism and your style? How much trust does your boss have in you right now? And how far do you think you need to go to establish better trust? How well do you think your boss would say you adapt to his or her communication style or work style or decision style? How committed are you to helping your boss succeed? What past issues remain that could still be hindering any progress you'd like to make to repair this professional relationship? How are you going to deal with that? Okay, and so the last few questions have to do with strengthening the relationships. I'm going to ask you some clarifying questions about how you might be able to repair or establish a really strong relationship going forward. What opportunities do you have to ask your boss about their impression of your performance? Are there any opportunities for you to help your boss look better in the organization? And if so, what are you going to do to maximize the impact of those opportunities? What can you do to communicate more effectively with your boss? How can you clear up any past mistakes that may have happened? This is for someone trying to repair the relationship. What assumptions can you reconcile about your boss so that you can move past any previous disagreements? What can you do to improve the level of trust and respect with your boss? And finally, what requests do you need to make to your boss in order to improve your own performance? How can you better communicate what you need from your boss as you sit down and talk to that person? Okay, so that's it for this video on how to manage up in the organization. This is all about managing expectations with your boss, understanding what your boss expects of you, figuring out how to repair a relationship that may have gone sour, and how to make sure that you can work effectively with your boss, not only for your success, but your boss's success and the bigger success of the organization. If you like this video, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.